Did you do it? Did you do it, Niners fans? Did you pay that Jeff Bezos money? $15.99 a month behind that paywall. And behind that paywall is your access. Your access to watch that game between the 49ers taking on the New York Giants. So did you pay that $15.99? Or did you go that place to watch that game? Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me now. Don't lie to me now. But in all seriousness, this game between the 49ers and the Giants, it was, I'm not sure what you could make of it, but it was certainly a couple things to take away from this game, as with every other Niners game. But going into this game for the 49ers, coming off a short week, you beat the Steelers, you beat the Rams. The Rams game was a little bit more telling of this Niners team early on, especially in regards to a couple key areas that I'll talk about that were kind of highlighted more in this game against the Giants that I personally took away from. But going into this game, they were going to be down at least one player on both sides of the ball. Not both sides of the ball, overall. And that was Brandon Ayuk. We knew Brandon Ayuk was not going to play this game. That was because of a shoulder problem that was coming out of that Rams game. And I thought it was for the best. I thought it was for the best for the 49ers to hold him out of this game, rest up with the week and a half off going into week 4 against Arizona, because you're playing the long game. You want to save him for when you face much more tougher opponents like Dallas, Cleveland, Minnesota, the longer stretch of the season. So I thought it was best that the Niners held them off for this short week against the Giants. Speaking of the Giants, this game early on when Brock Purdy was facing them in the opening series, it was pretty rough. Throwing like 2 near interceptions to the Giants defense, and even George Kittle had to step in and say, hey, I gotta save your ass here and play defensive back and stop one from going the other way. Because the Giants defense was really throwing some varying blitzes on that series. Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator, was throwing a lot of pressure packages on Brock Purdy and really made him struggle, really made him work on that opening series and pretty much a good chunk of that first quarter. So the pass rush was pretty much coming fast and furious on that opening drive. So they get 3 points, all right. And then on the opposite end, the pass rush for our team, the 49ers, was coming in fast and furious as well. So same thing was expected for Daniel Jones, who also was coming in with a good chunk of his offensive line, like left tackle Andrew Thomas. Half of his offensive line was pretty much, starting offensive line was out of this game. So he also had to get the ball out fast and furious. But as I expected, as one of my keys to the game was, you have to contain Daniel Jones in the pocket, but the Niners couldn't do such early on. So they were at least able to get him 3 and out. But then when you go into the second quarter of this game, the offensive line and Brock Purdy continued to struggle because you had safety Xavier McKinney swarming around the secondary, stopping plays when Purdy tried to make them to Debo, to Kittle, to Ronnie Bell. And then you get at least one big play in to Debo with a 30-yard catch and run. So it looked like, okay, they're finally going to get something going. And then they do get something going once they get into the red zone. And then Ronnie Bell gets his first NFL touchdown catch to make it 10-3 midway through the second quarter. And then it seems like, okay, they're finally settled in. They're finally going to make this their game. And especially considering that what happens on the other end, right after defensive lineman Javon Hargrave gets his second sack of the season, and they mention his name more. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, that is, on the Giants' next drive. He sacks Daniel Jones, forces another punt, and then here they come, marching again. The 49ers, that is. And then it seems like they were going to get another 3 and out or a turnover on their end. But Ronnie Bell saves the day when a ball gets deflected off of Debo. And then he makes this heads-up play where it deflects off Debo's hands. And then it's in the air. And then Ronnie Bell's like, I'm going to get this bitch. And then he catches it and he goes for the first down and he gets it. And then a little while later, because of penalties and stuff that keeps advancing the ball in their favor, All right, cool. The offensive line, which had been struggling for most of that first half, they give Christian McCaffrey an assist. They provide him a hole. All right, 17-3, getting close to the tail end of the first half. The Giants make it 17-6 after a little bit hurry up drill, and going to that first half, going to that end of the first half, I was thinking to myself, if you're Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers, you have to be thinking that anything can happen in the second half. No lead is safe. You still have things to adjust, especially looking at that offensive line. You are not doing that good. You're not doing good on that offensive line. But at the same time, Brock Purdy was facing a lot of heavy pressure, and he was getting this close to making that one big mistake at times. So, Purdy, of course, didn't play exactly a clean game in the first half, but he had no help. He was given no favors from his offensive line protecting him, especially on the exterior. And then Trent Williams, though, in that first half, getting penalized and then getting frustrated a lot, getting to fights with the Giants defensive line. I'm like, chill, bro, just chill. And then we get to the second half. We start the second half off. The Giants seem like they're gonna get back in this game because, well, of a couple of mistakes from the Niners special teams on fair catch interference, and then Diamoje Lenore commits pass interference later on, and then guess who makes the touchdown to try and salvage the Giants' hopes? Running back Matt Breida. Y'all remember Matt Breida? I kind of do during the Chip Kelly, Jim Tomsula days. So they cut the lead down to 17-2. They tried to go for a 2-point conversion to make it a 3-point game, but it fails. So still, they got a puncher's chance. Like anything can happen. No lead is safe. Remember that. Like I said, if any indication of week 2 was a thing, you never know. You never know. But at least for the Niners, they were aware of this, kinda, because even though they made these big plays, Debo with another big catch and run, but unfortunately they just stalled out again in the red zone, and then they get another field goal in, so it becomes 20-12, and you go into the fourth quarter, you have another opportunity to punch it into the end zone, but again, the offensive line can't protect Brock Purdy. Like, come on, man. This is like at least 7 to 14 points that the Niners could have had, but the offensive line was really not giving Purdy enough time to get at least one big play going in this game. It could have been like a much bigger like blowout than what we ended up getting. But I mean, at this point, like for the Niners, I mean, they could have gotten anything. But to be honest with you, it could have been at least more than that. It at least could have been more than that, to be honest with you. So, much later on, at least Brock Purdy like shut up all those. He overthrows the football critics. At least for this week, with a deep ball touchdown to Debo midway through the fourth quarter, that essentially seals the game. It's 30-12 by this point. And then Talanoa Hufanga gets a deflected ball interception from Darren Waller, who bobbles that catch. And then that's pretty much your ball game, 30-12. So, yeah, this game was certainly something. I will say, though, like as I said for much of this recap, the offensive line did not have itself a good game. Like, let's be real here. The Giants were able to try out a variety of different pressure packages. Even though Kayvon Thibodeau was meh, Dexter Lawrence was but the other people in there, Alshon Robinson, and then there were a couple other people in there on the interior. They were really bringing the heat on Brock Purdy and that offensive line, who, by the way, didn't really, who were kind of struggling. I mean, Trent Williams was okay. Aaron Banks was good until he gave up like one pressure that was called back for holding on defense. But the other guys like Spencer Burford and then Colton McKivett, and then the center. I forgot his name. I can't remember the center's name. But anyway, Purdy really had to rely on quick and screen passes for most of this game because he's pretty much just like Daniel Jones. He really couldn't get any big plays going, like because the offensive line just couldn't give him enough time to do so. But at least like he only took like I think 1 sack tonight, or at least when I'm recording this, he took 1 sack on Thursday night. So at least that's something. But the offensive line really has to protect Brock Purdy much better going forward because it was prevalent during the Rams game. Is like if you don't want Brock Purdy to make all these big throws, make these big plays to guys like Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey, you got to bring up the heavy pressure because this offensive line, at least right now, it's not as gelled as most people think it's out to be. And it became highlighted and problematic during this Giants game. It really has to be cleaned up before the next game against Arizona, and especially before that Dallas Cowboys game on Sunday night in Week 5. But I will say, on the positive note, the defensive line gave Daniel Jones fits all night long, pretty much as expected. I mean, Daniel Jones did have his moments of escaping the pocket, making plays with his legs, but I mean, it didn't really amount to much in the end. And then, really nice work by my players of the game. That's a good seamless transition by receiver Debo Samuel, 6 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. And then along with tight end George Kittle with 7 catches and 90 yards. 2 players that I really thought that needed to step up, needed to establish some rhythm with Brock Purdy, with Brandon Ayuk out, and they did exactly that. And hopefully going forward, now that they have a little bit of rhythm going, a little bit of step in their veins with Purdy, if Brandon Ayuk is available for Week 4, now they can all 3 can be those combustible elements to make this offense working. And then on the defensive end, Nick Bosa and Javon Hargrave, both of them had a sack and a tackle for loss each. So, yeah, that defensive line really put stuff together. And then now let's look ahead to Week 4. Week 4, we have, a week and a half off, a mini bye. So they have time to rest, relax a little bit before they come in for practice. And then they prepare for Week 4. Obviously, they're going to be looking at their Week 4 opponent this Sunday when the Arizona Cardinals, their second opponent of a 3-game homestand, they face the Dallas Cowboys at home. Dallas is definitely going to be a much tougher challenge than the New York Giants gave them. But I say either way, they either could give them a challenge or they can get their butts whooped. So Josh Dobbs, I will say, he's been playing manageable with that offense that still has James Conner, Zach Ertz, and Marquise Brown. But I mean, given that he's faced so far the Commanders, who does have a strong defensive line, and the Giants, whose defensive line was all right, considering what the Niners faced on Thursday night. But nonetheless, you still have an offense that has James Conner, Zach Ertz, and Marquise Hollywood Brown, and your offensive line has held up so far. It's just, you collapsed in the second half, so that's not good. Defensively, they're actually a pretty decent unit, and at times they caused some trouble against the Commanders and the Giants. So the Niners better not sleep on the Cardinals, so otherwise, they can run into some trouble as well. So they'll be watching pretty intensely during the bit of time off this coming week. And on to Arizona. The Niners are 3-0. They beat the New York Giants 30-12. And the box score will say blowout, but I don't know. At least in my mind, didn't seem as much. But hey, all I can say is at this rate, you could take whatever win you can get. But that is your 49ers recap for Week 3 of the 2023 NFL season. Let me know your thoughts on how the Niners did, what they can clean up, who are your players of the game in the comments below. Anyway, This is Dylan Lasagna signing out of another 49ers recap for this season. And keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.